girls. How are you? On something right quick. Hey, Jody. Hey, look, you made it. I wasn't sure if you were gonna make it. Are you all right? I just heard where there was a um, tornado right outside of NOLA today, New Orleans. And I hope so. I'm so sick of the rain. We've not had any real bad weather today, but okay. Sorry. The tornado was right outside of New Orleans. And then there was some more throughout other places in Louisiana and Mississippi. You got that right, sister. You got that right. Yeah. Well, Dallas has always been known as being part of the heart of Tornado Alley there. One time I went to Texas, and it had just happened to be in Dallas because that's where my grandfather lived at the time. And we left right ahead of the storms, and they had a bunch of tornadoes in them. Now, you live in Jackson, right? Is that what I'm understanding? I think that's what Nina said. Another shop on the heart to her. Too close what I was thinking. Uh, oh, it's rained here all day. I am dying. Of course you are. Hey, Jackie! Girl, I missed you. Now, if I can get your sister, the bitch, in here, we'll be all right. All right, girls. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and start reading. Somebody wants to see if Liberty is available. She may not be. She may be. Has anybody heard from Liberty lately? I think she might be dead. It's a rescue truck. Rain around here is bad. All right, let's get started. This is a dystopia, which I love these if they're done right. So, girlfriend, I'm gonna be looking at you. It's called Equinox, and it's part of the Celestial Awakenings. Maybe dystopian paranormal. Oh, bless her heart. Shelby and her bunch and the extended bunch has all had that stomach bug where they got it coming out both ends. Okay, so let's get started. I know, me too, Jack. If it's done right, so we're gonna test her out here. I'm sure it is. Okay, so Nova, Chapter 1, Equinox by Miss Lux Miller. Yeah, we could be because my grandmother was a Miller. All right. Ooh, good and filthy, just our type. I swear, when I get my hands on you, you're gonna rue the day you were born. A high pitched whistle pierces the air, and my heart skips a beat before it starts to thunder in my chest. Shit, he's calling for the hounds. If I don't figure out a way to shake this guy soon, he'll undoubtedly set them on me, and then I won't stand a chance of escape. This is the third time this week that I've pilfered something from one of his ships. I don't think he'll be quick to call them off once they catch me, either. And they will catch me. I may be the fastest sprinter in the Lost Isles, but nobody can outrun a Navian hound, and I'm not about to try. It'd be an exercise in complete futility to try to escape once he lets them loose. My only opportunity to get away with my loot is now. But this is why Skink sends me on these kinds of missions. I'm the youngest of our ragtag band of misfits and by far the smallest. More often than not, I can slip into places unnoticed and make off with a decent bounty without the worry of getting caught. Among my people, I'm known as Sprite because of my pixie-like appearance and feisty attitude. Ooh, just my type. And when I do get caught rummaging around, I'm extremely hard to actually apprehend. Hence my current situation. Stop, thief! Two simple words yelled as an order by a commanding voice some 50 yards behind me. Most people would stop dead in their tracks out of fear, but me, after his earlier threat, I do the exact opposite. I'm thankful to be barefoot instead of clumping around in some kind of clunky boots. Digging my toes into the sand, I propel myself forward with every ounce of energy I've got left. I've been trying to give this guy the slip for the last 10 minutes. He's just not giving up. I'm not sure how much more abuse my body can take in my last ditch effort to escape. There's no way in hell I'm stopping right now, though, because the minute I do, I'm toast. It's certainly not the first time I found myself in the predicament. My tongue is tied, y'all. Sorry. Of outrunning an angry sea captain, and I doubt it'll be the last. The life of a thief is always spent staying one step ahead of those you steal from. 9 times out of 10, I just lead my pursuer in circles until they are sufficiently mixed up enough to give me a chance to hide. With my small stature, I can slip into some of the most precarious hiding places and wait out an enemy. After that, it's a battle of wills. Most of these Navian grunts aren't willing to wait around and get off schedule over the meager rations that I'm usually after. Today, though, today I stole something that's apparently of value to the Navian this man serves. He's not eager to let it go so easily. I have no clue what it is since I just grabbed what Skink told me to grab, but you better believe it's going to pay a premium for it when I rendezvous with him. The heavy pounding of the Navian's boots against the sand behind me pauses for a minute. I chance a glance over my shoulder to see why. Slowing to a walk as my lungs burn with the desperately inhaled breaths that I gulp down while I can. The skulking man turns his back to me and places 2 fingers inside his mouth. The high-pitched whistle makes my skin crawl, but there's something different about it this time. It's longer, more pronounced, and answered. Shit, shit, shit! To my horror, 3 hairy beasts appear out of seemingly nowhere, bounding through the fine powder of the beach. Like it's no big deal. They skid to a stop at the feet of my pursuer. healing at the ready. Their bodies taut with anticipation, though they're four-legged and furry. They're hardly, though they're four-legged and furry, they're hardly what I'd call dogs, and they're certainly not what I'd call pets. They look like something straight out of a nightmare. For starters, they're huge. I don't plan to get close enough to one to measure it, but the shoulders of the one watching me with its glowing red eyes easily reaches the Navian's waist. And the demon eyes aren't the only thing that make these feral animals look like mythical hellhounds. All three are covered snout to tail with pitch black fur that makes their outlines hard to follow in the faint early morning light. And the sound they make as their master commands them in a vengeful roar that turns my blood to ice. I stand there, half frozen in fear, way longer than I should. My brain short circuits with the gruesome possibilities of what's going to happen when the Navian bounty hunter lowers his arms and releases his hounds. Valuable time when I should have been running like the wind. I need to try to find somewhere to get out of the path of the snarling jaws of the beast that are going to be on my ass like white on rice. My brain kicks back into gear about 3 seconds before the hound's master barks out an order that has me tripping over my own 2 feet to scramble through the loose sand as fast as I can. Kill her. Things just got serious. What the hell does Skink send me after? He's sending them on in for the kill without even bothering to ask me questions. I know who he's working for. Does he not care who I'm working for? Or is what I stole that damn important that it doesn't even matter? I'm half tempted to take a peek inside the tiny parcel so I can get an idea of just what the hell I'm risking my life over. Those precious few seconds it takes me to unwrap the mysterious package might be the difference in me living to tell this tale or me becoming puppy chow. That curiosity is going to have to wait. If I can make it another 30 yards without letting the hound's jaws get close enough to snap close around me, I just might stand a chance of making it to the tree line and to the safety of the air. Closing my eyes, I dig down deep inside myself and recite a little prayer that I remember from my childhood. I've blocked out most of those memories, but this is one of the few that gives me peace. Peace is a good thing right now, especially since there's a good chance I'm about to die. Clambering blindly across the shifting sand, I keep murmuring the brief remnant of childhood as I hear the hounds closing in, and that's when I hear the distinctive yelp of one of the hulking beasts behind me. Knowing better than to take my eyes off the prize of the safety of the tree line, my curiosity gets the better of me and I glance over my shoulder. As I stare wide-eyed, one of the massive creatures tumbles head over paws into the sand, comes to rest on its side while the fletching of an arrow protruding from its side. Its massive head slams into the ground as its fiery gaze lands on me. The light dims from its eye as it glazes over with a pitiful whimper from the gravely injured animal. As if roaring in response, the ground beneath me begins to rumble under my feet. Despite being tossed around like I'm on a dinghy on the rough seas, I stumble backwards away from the distracted animals. I reach my hands out behind me as I grasp for the familiar feeling of bark. Keeping my eyes focused on the remaining hounds, I nearly trip over the brambles that have begun to peek through the sand near the tree line. I continue to back away from them as they circle their fallen comrade. One nudges the now still animal with its snout, then throws its head back and howls balefully. The other begins to prowl closer to me, teeth bared. This is no longer a game of chase. They've covered too much ground for me to have any hope of outrunning them. Right now, my only chance is to stare them down and pray for a miracle. And instead of the heavens above opening up and raining down light and tunes of glory, I trip over a root that's under my feet. Oops. that's jutting up from the ground and land on my ass. I'm now completely at the mercy of the angry hounds that are now eyeing me like I'm about to be their lunch. Just as I open my mouth to scream in a last ditch attempt at salvation, a hand drops in front of my face suddenly. I have to slap both of mine over my mouth to keep myself from screaming out in surprise. The hand is attached to a thick arm that's corded heavily with muscles. It's wrapped in strips of leather that crisscross back and forth across a wrist that's as big as my own ankle. My eyes bounce between the approaching beast and the hand exactly twice before I decide to take my chances. That this won't come back to bite me in the ass. Even if it does, staying here on the ground in front of two snarling, angry hounds is going to get me eaten. So I think my odds are better with the discombobulated arm. I dive forward, reaching up and clasping my hand around the forearm as the mysterious hand latches onto my own. I feel myself yanked first upright and then upwards into the tree that was just up over my head. The two hounds lunged to where I was just sitting, growling and snapping their jaws. They're not about to give up that easily, though. Each of them jumps up onto its hind legs, their razor-sharp teeth glinting in what's left of the moonlight. They snap twigs off the branch that I'm now standing on as I desperately cling to the massive body that was attached to the arm of salvation. Climb. The voice is stern and without emotion as it barks out the order. That I ignore, of course. I'm nobody's show pony, so I stand there dumbly and stare at the figure that's speaking to me like he's crazy. At least I think it's a guy. It sounds like a guy at least. And something about him has the hairs on the back of my neck prickling almost as bad as the bounty hunter. It's probably because, aside from the brilliant green eyes that are staring at me from under knitted brows, he's completely covered from head to toe in the tightly wound leather bindings of my worst nightmare, a Kingsman. I might be out of the frying pan, but I probably just jumped straight into the fire. There's no way I'm escaping today without getting burnt. A Kingsman is a rogue, just like a Navian, but a Navian operates within the command of a militia. A Kingsman, contrary to their name, has no civil master. They have a captain, if you will, but there's nothing civil about them. A Kingsman is the closest thing that still exists to a pirate of the high seas. Being a child of the Lost Isle, I know all too well the potential dangers of Kingsmen and their brethren. As he stares at me, knowing his eyes, narrowing his eyes as he appraises me, I clear my throat and throw out a word that tastes bitter on my tongue. I never thought it'd become a part of my vocabulary. But desperate times call for desperate measures. Parley. Chapter 2. Drake. When I first heard the snarling of the Navian hounds, I'd convinced myself to stay out of the way of the bounty hunters. Nothing good ever comes to those who meddle in the affairs of the Navian. Hunters good with their 100-man strong militia, they'll stop at nothing to maintain a stronghold on the shores of the civilized world. And yet, my curiosity is piqued when I hear the taunting voice of the Navian master of the hounds calling out to something. More likely, he's yelling at someone who's probably snuck into his stores and stolen something from him. Lex, I don't know if he may have told you, but Ori is also Nina. You've been talking to her, so just so you know. On here we have secret names, I think. We don't go by the same thing we do on Facebook. The bounty hunters may be efficient at what they do, but they're terrible at security. They have literal hellhounds that legend says were gifts from Loki himself when he escaped his bonds. Yet, they can't seem to defend their own supply houses from the rogue thieves that prowl in the night. I've spent many nights perched among the trees watching them raid without fanfare. I can't help but be curious about why a Navian bounty hunter is bothering to chase down a scamp who stole a few biscuits. So, color me interested when I decide to stick my nose, or more accurately, my hand, right in the middle of the shitstorm that's brewing beneath me. The little lad that I pull up into the trees with me turns out to not be a lad at all, but a feisty little brunette girl. And she looks like she wouldn't hesitate to drop kick me to the ground below to take her place as the hound's dinner. One of the hounds below leaps up onto its hind legs, snapping its massive jaws closed mere inches from her foot. She's startled forward where she clings to me like her life depends on it. Which, truthfully, it kind of does at the moment. Because those beasts below us are not only hungry, they're angry. I may or may not have loosed an arrow into the apparent pack alpha, failing it to the ground. It hasn't moved since. The sorrowful howl that the other two sent up in harmony when they realized their companion was lifeless was enough to chill a grown man to the bone. And the only thing more dangerous than a hungry pack of hellhounds is a pack of hellhounds that have lost their alpha. One angry move from either of us, and we're both going to the ground below. I lean back to the sturdy trunk of the tree and brace most of my weight against it with one arm, while looping the other around the pixie-like girl's middle. She's not familiar to me, but the way she's dressed is. The tattered, patched-up hodgepodge assortment of clothing she's wearing tells me, without a doubt, that she's a child of the lost style. She's probably an orphan picked up by one of the wayward traders. Regardless of who she is, one thing is certain. We're both going to be in pieces if we don't get up higher in this tree. Just as the razor-sharp teeth of one of the mutts just misses my foot, I growl at her. Climb! She looks up at me, staring like I'm stupid. Blinking rapidly, she shakes her head, her shortly cropped hair flinging wildly about her face. She continues to hold on to me like she's scared I'm going to throw her to the dogs like a discarded bone. Okay, I admit, I probably look a bit on the scary side. These days, I've taken to dressing in the garb of a Kingsman, though I no longer serve a captain. Old habits die hard, kind of like the man I once sailed under, at least until our humble ship was destroyed by a maelstrom that struck months ago. Despite what those who from the Lost Isle may think, the Kingsmen I've known are loyal to tradition. Garvin went down with the ship, giving his life to save mine and his first mates. Though we've since gone our own ways over a disagreement in who'd become the captain in Garvin's vacancy. Yep, I figured as much. I'm at peace with my drifter lifestyle. I can't be still, y'all. I'm hurting to death. I split my time between the treetops of the forest and stealing what I can steal from the scraps of shipwrecks that wash up on the shore. Her voice is soft, but firm, as she spits out a word familiar to me. But the irony isn't lost as it cuts straight through me when it rolls off her tongue. Harley. Harley? Are you kidding me? This little pixie is invoking Harley. Though the leather straps that protect my face from exposure during the harsh days spent at sea obscure my expression, I can't help but smile. A deep, rumbling chuckle shakes the branch that we're standing on, making her screech with surprise and throw both of her arms around me. Harley's cute and all, little one, but I have no captain. If we don't get a move on and get to higher branches in this tree, the only master you're going to be meeting today is our maker. If you haven't noticed, those puppies are a bit pissed off. And if that Navian's like any other I've met, he probably hasn't fed them either. I'd be willing to bet they're a right bit hungry too. Now, as I said before, climb, or do I have to carry you? I glance down pointedly at the way she's wrapped around me, and she springs off me so quickly that she loses her balance and nearly topples out of the tree. I reach out and snatch hold of her arm just before she takes a swan dive into the waiting hound jaws below. I'm just about to blow off a little bit of steam with a deep chuckle when I hear a gut-wrenching sound, the splintering of wood beneath us. Without me reiterating the necessity of getting anywhere but where we are now, she scrambles past me. She jumps and snags a branch above our heads near the trunk of the tree and pulls herself up. I make haste, not hesitating to haul myself up behind her as quickly as I can without overtaking her. Though I could get up this tree much faster without her, I committed myself to her assistance when I offered her a hand up. Until we no longer have a pair of hellhounds trying to snack on us for breakfast, we're a team. But that doesn't mean that I can't hurry things along. Reaching up above my head, I grab hold of her foot, just now realizing that she's not wearing any kind of shoes. She glances down at me suddenly. I do have to say one thing. If you're climbing trees, being barefooted is much better than having shoes on. You won't slip and slide, and you can grip a whole lot better when you're barefooted. Okay, I shall keep going. She glances down at me suddenly, hanging precariously from the branch above us as she kicks her foot that's in my grasp. To avoid getting clocked in the face, I let go of her foot. She scampers up along the trunk of the tree faster, using her toes to grip the branches like a monkey as she scales up into the upper branches. My point. I scooch up as high as I can on the side of the trunk opposite her and poke my head up through the canopy to see what kind of prospects we have for holding on. The sensation that rumbles below us is definitely not coming from the overgrown dogs. I stare in shock as the world around us trembles. The tree sways wildly in the air as the ocean that's just on the other side of the cliffs below us sloshes about angrily. She hoists herself up beside me. I must say that I'm quite impressed to see that someone as slight and fairy-like as this girl has been able to scale a tree right alongside me. What I'm not thrilled about is the fact that she's frowning, seemingly perturbed at me about our current situation. Now what? The tree is literally shredding beneath us. It's not going to hold much longer. I don't know about you, but I certainly can't fly. I frown because though she's being a bit melodramatic about it, she's right. Between the beast chewing at the trunk of the tree and the earth shaking that's making the whole world feel like it's tilting on its axis, this tree's not going to hold. Certainly not with 250 pounds and probably another 100 or so from her flopping around in its crown like a couple of wet noodles hanging on for dear life. Jump! Her eyes widen as she gives me that "you must be crazy" look again. I shake my head quickly, snatching hold of her hand and reiterating more desperately, "Now, jump!" I'm not really sure if she actually jumps or not, but I certainly do as she comes with me. Whether she jumped of her own volition or if she was dragged from her perch in the canopy of the trees, I may never know, especially if we don't survive this fall. The tree we just leapt out of topples over the forest floor with a sickening thud. I breathe a sigh of relief as one of my arms wraps tightly around the trunk of a tree that's about 10 feet shorter than the other, but seems to be holding for now. Below us, the hounds are in a blind panic, yelping and running in circles as the earth continues to shift and shake. Now is our chance, but there aren't many choices of where to go. Judging by the look of sheer stupefied terror on the girl's face, I'd say the decision making is going to be up to me. I gather her against my side and take another leap of faith, followed by another. We're jumping from tree to tree as the branches and trunks begin to give way one by one under our combined weight. There's hardly anything substantial the final landing. Without any significant branches to catch us as we slide down the trunk, the twigs that are there snap along the way. They slap and scratch us on the entire way down as my leather bindings rip and shred against the unforgiving wood. As my feet hit the ground, I tuck myself into a ball in an effort not to break my legs upon impact, folding myself around the girl as we roll away from the tree. I land in a sprawled position on my back on the rocky surface below, the girl draped across me like a rag doll. Groaning, I push myself to a sitting position, wincing as I look above and see that the sky has begun to turn brilliant shades of orange and pink. Sunrise. The dangers that lurk in the night will soon give way to a whole new set of foes that prowl in the light of day. And a sharp snarl behind me is a reminder that some predators hunt until they make their kill. Pulling the girl into my lap, I slap at her face gently. Hey, hey, we gotta move. We're out of the trees, but we're not out of danger. She groans, shaking her head and snuggling her face into my neck. The warmth of her breath on the skin that's been exposed by the damaged leather sends a shiver down my spine as I try to focus on the task at hand. Can you swim? The girl nods faintly, but she seems like she's out of it. I realize with a frown that despite my best attempts to shield her in our fall, she may have still hit her head and suffered a concussion. She loops her arms around my neck, giggling softly. I'm a child of the Lost Isles. Can I swim? You're funny. Okay, so maybe it seems like a silly question when she puts it that way, but I wasn't even completely sure that's where she was from. I mean, I was pretty sure, but I wasn't 100%. Oh, screw it. I climb to standing, the girl still halfway hanging from my neck, as she deliriously mumbles something that isn't quite coherent. I rip, I whip around quickly when when a second growl joined the first. Crap! Both of the hellhounds have found us. I may have been able to fight off one if I was armed, but empty-handed and facing two, we're doomed. I back away from the beast slowly, knowing good and well that I'm essentially narrowing down my options to one. But she did say she could swim. We're about to put that to the test because there's only two ways off this cliff. I shake her pretty roughly and force her to look at me. The hounds have found us. We're going to have to jump. Now I've got her attention. The bleary look fades from her face as she finally focuses on me and shakes her head. Jump? Jump where? You said we're out of the trees. I nod as I grab her hand, backing us further away from the hounds and ever closer to the edge of the cliff. She glances over her shoulder and squeals in panic, gripping my hand so hard that her knuckles are probably turning white. I know my hand certainly feels like it's losing circulation. If she was daydreaming before, she's completely awake now as she yells, You can't be serious! That's 100 feet down! I nod, swallowing hard. Yeah, trust me, I know. But it's that or them. I motion to the two beasts that are stalking toward us, closing the distance in record time with every step. The bigger of the two stamps the ground with its paw, baring its teeth as it growls hungrily. The girl looks up at me, at the hounds, then over her shoulder before looking back at me. I've done a lot of crazy shit in my life, but I swear today takes the cake. The bigger of the hounds lunges forward, and that's our cue. We both turn and take off at a full run, leaping as we reach the end of the cliff. Our legs and arms flailing as we sail through the air, falling, until finally we hit the icy water below. our hands still clasped together as we sink beneath the inky surface into the depths of the Atlantic Ocean. All right, girls, be quiet tonight. It's that captivating, huh? Chapter 3, Nova. The inky darkness of the swirling sea below rushes up to meet me as the Kingsman and I plummet off the cliff. Crossing my ankles to brace for impact, I jerk my left arm in close to my body and cover my mouth. Crossing my ankles to brace for impact, I jerk my left arm in close to my body and cover my mouth. I squeeze my thumb and forefinger together to plug my nose just as the ocean below opens up to swallow us into its icy depths. We sink together like rocks, my right hand enclosed in his left, in an absolute death grip as everything around me goes darkly silent. I've been swimming since before I could walk. But when our downward descent slows and my eyes pop open underneath the surface of the abyss, a feeling of panic creeps up inside me. We're so far down, I can't see a damn thing. There's no doubt that I've probably spent more time in these waters than the average human, but I've never found myself submerged without gear, and certainly never at night without a way to figure out which direction is up. We haven't been under that long, but I can already feel my lungs starting to burn as I blink rapidly to try to get my bearings. I look over at the Kingsman to see if he's struggling to orient himself in the murkiness like I am. I admit that I'm relieved when he squeezes my hand in response. He tugs me against himself and begins to propel us through the water in the direction of what feels like up. I silently pray, at least, that it's up. Whatever it is, it's as good a shot as any, so I start kicking my feet alongside his, hoping that we break the surface of the water soon. My chest starts to tighten and the icy tendrils of darkness begin to crowd into the corners of my vision. The Kingsman grabs hold of my waist with both hands roughly. Everything feels like it's going to implode as I struggle to pull away from him. Try as I might to escape his grip, I'm no match for his strength. He flings me like a rag doll through the swiftly moving current that comes up on us out of nowhere. I'm befuddled as I spin awkwardly in the water, then bob to the surface. I suck in a startled breath as my lungs fill with air instead of the water I was expecting. Blinking in shock, I glance around quickly, treading the freezing water as I pant. I draw air in and out of my lungs so rapidly that my staccato breaths barely have time to puff in front of my face before being obliterated by the next. How did he sense a rip like that when I couldn't even figure out which way was up? And where the hell is he? I look this way and that, trying to find a disturbance in the surface of the water that might give an indication of where the Kingsman is. Aside from the telltale ripple across the surface a dozen feet away from me, indicating the rip current, the sea is almost glass like. It's so still. I know he survived the jump since he just propelled me through the current like it was nothing. Even an experienced aqua hunter like Skink would have surfaced by now, and I swear he's got gills. There's no way the Kingsman could still be underwater. Not unless he's expletives. His words. In several languages spew out of my mouth as something massive surfaces from beneath the water right in front of me. The wake pushes me backwards as it splashes up into my face. I spit out the salty seawater with a fresh round of choice words as I glare at the bright green eyes of the Kingsman, illuminated by the first rays of the morning sun. If the look on his face at the moment wasn't one of near panic, I'd probably launch myself at him and give a physical lashing with my fist. There's something about the way he's staring at me in disbelief that gives me pause. Spitting out the last of the water, I groaned. Fucking hell, don't tell me those damn dogs jumped. The Kingsman chuckled slightly, the water around us radiating outward in vibrating circles. Nah, those overgrown mutts can't swim. They'd have sank like stones. Some might say this is actually worse, though. I guess it all depends on your point of view. I narrow my eyes at him, watching him carefully as he swims several yards away from me, heading out to sea. I glance over my shoulder at the shore behind, then at his retreating back. I call after him. I know we got all twisted up and turned around underwater, but the shore is that way. He ignores me and continues to gracefully throw one arm over the other as he pulls away from me. He's swimming parallel to the shore as his body slices through the water like he's part fish. Ha! Maybe he really does have gills. Even if I have a great story to tell, I swear if I ever see Skink again, he's gonna have so much ass kissing to do to make up for all the hell I've been through tonight. First, a psycho Navian chases me down and tries to feed me to his hellhounds. Then, a batshit crazy Kingsman who seems to enjoy tossing me around like a toy takes me on wild adventures to the treetops over the edge of a cliff. It's been a heck of a night, and I get the feeling that it isn't anywhere near over. I couldn't make this kind of story up if I tried. Nobody can force you to see things objectively here, Lost Girl. If you go back to shore now, don't cry foul when that Navian bounty hunter picks up right where he left off. And with one of his hounds dead, you can bet he's not going to be very forgiving. As far as the sea and the monsters it holds, they haven't yet awakened. But if you think that current was a natural thing, you've got another thing coming. Besides, you're the one who cried parley. Can't say I've ever seen someone throw down a request for parley, then turn tail and run like a coward. But to each their own. We'll be seeing each other again, though. Call it a gut feeling. I stare after the Kingsman for several moments, then shrug my shoulders and turn toward the shore, shaking my head as I let my body do what it was born to do. Now that I'm not flailing around about in an underwater death trap of doom, I can put my strong leg muscles to good use and be to the shore in minutes. Then I'll dry off and move on with my life. I've had enough of the gloom and doom at the hands of men for one night. What I really want is the warm campfire and roasted meat that'll be sitting heavily in my belly by breakfast. Especially once I hand over the troublesome parcel that Skink sent me after. Which, after everything I went through to get it, instructions be damned, I deserve to see what's inside it. I pause on my journey, treading water as I peek once more at the retreating Kingsman, though he isn't nearly as far away from me as he should be. I lift my trusty pig bladder bag up out of the water and squeeze it to see if I can figure out what's inside the carefully wrapped parcel that Skink had me steal. My heart skips a beat. Shaking my head and laughing, I tell myself that surely I'm being paranoid. There's no way I dropped it. It's physically impossible. Tonight's adventures have admittedly been a bit more rambunctious than my normal adventures, but that bag was a gift from Skink himself. He said it's a relic of the times when the hordes hunted every corner of the earth. It's built to withstand and protect its contents against anything nature could throw at it. Except, apparently, a rogue Kingsman who's hell-bent on making my life a living hell. I whip myself around in the water and stare across the expanse, squinting to see where his form is poking up out of the water some 100 yards away from me. Though the sky is lightening quickly, I can't see much from here. But I really have no other choice. I don't even know what I'm risking my life for. But I know that I can't go back to see Skink without it. Groaning loudly, I throw my head back and belt out a shrill battle cry that echoes off the cliffs above. I about face, kicking my legs furiously in the water as I take off after the form that's up ahead of me. I hope I can reach him before he disappears beneath the water or otherwise out of sight. That Kingsman had better hope he's a faster swimmer than I am, because when I get my hands on him, I'm going to make him sorry he didn't drown me back there. I might be a thief by trade, but nobody steals from me and gets away with it. I may not know what was in that parcel, but I do know that Skink offered me a month's worth of rations if I'd bring it to him, and it's already almost gotten me killed twice. I'm going to get it back or die trying, because without Skink's generosity, I probably will anyway. If Skink finds out I lost his precious parcel to Kingsman, he'll kick me out of the clan for sure and leave me to fend for myself. Taking off after a man who's likely shown me mercy up until this point and is probably more dangerous than the Navian could ever hope to be, it's probably not the smartest thing I've ever done, but nobody's ever accused me of being smart. Artsy and scrappy? Yes, I'm definitely scrappy. Those that survive on the Lost Isles are, and we're proud of, it. We're good at making something out of nothing, so I guess you could say we are smart. We're just not scientists saving the world with cure smart. Although that didn't exactly work out the way it should have, so not sure if it was the brightest move either. He pulls away from me easily. I'm panting as my arms strike the water, but I'm not letting him get away. He's fast, but I know I have it in me to catch him if I can. If I can find a way to turn my anger into fuel. Growling to the open water, I curl my arms angrily over my head, digging them into the waves like knives into a fresh kill. I can feel my speed increasing with every stroke. I glance away for a moment, and when I look back to where I last saw his outline against the horizon, he's gone. Blinking in disbelief, I shake my head and pause for the briefest of moments, scanning the waves ahead. Narrowing my eyes against the glare of the rising sun, I spot his head pop up just around the bend of the mountain. That's not what catches my attention. I shake my head in disbelief as I rub at my eyes furiously, then look again. Standing in sharp contrast to the brilliant blue of the early morning sky is a modest wooden sailing vessel flying no colors. That means it's either been decommissioned or it's under the leadership of pirates. My mouth drops open in surprise as the Kingsman glides gracefully along the surface of the water. I damn near have to slap myself silly to refocus my attention on the matter at hand. I reinitiate my pursuit of the Kingsman, driving my feet in the water like I'm being chased by something. For all I know, in water this deep and open between the isles, I probably am. He maintains course straight for the ship. By the time I've closed about half the distance, he's pulling himself up the side of the ship along a knotted rope that hangs down to the waterline. Even I have to admit that watching the man climb is a sight to behold. He's obviously highly skilled and athletic, considering the bruising torture he's put his body through in the last hour. Yet he's still got enough left to haul himself up the side of a large merchant ship with nothing but his own sheer strength to pull his weight out of the water. Once he reaches the top of the rope, he grabs hold of the upper railings and flings himself aboard the vessel. I realize quickly that my chances of catching him are waning. If he pulls anchor before I can get aboard, he'll be gone with my treasure, and I'll be left soggy and adrift. One thing I do notice about him is he's cocky as hell. Once he's aboard the ship, he never bothers to look back to see if I've changed my mind. He goes on about his business like he's just going to weigh anchor and go about his day, like he didn't just escape hellhounds and a dive off a cliff. Jerk. I guess he assumes that I'm no danger to him either. and I've gone on about my life on shore. What he doesn't realize is that he picked the wrong thief to just plunder. Though I'm out of breath and my arms are aching by the time I reach the side of the ship, I make it there in time to grab hold of the same rope the Kingsman used to climb. My shoulders burn with every knot that I ascend. Finally, guilty. I don't know where that came from. Finally, my fingernails are scraping at the mahogany wood that lines the outer rail of the vessel. I claw my nails into it, and with the last bit of strength I've got, I twist my body over it and collapse onto the wooden planks below. My chest heaves with the effort of drawing breath in and out of my throbbing chest. I must admit, after everything that just happened, I really didn't think you'd follow me. The fact that you did, though, makes me even more intrigued to find out what exactly you stole from the Navian bounty hunter. Groaning, I roll over onto my back and look up, my eyes widening as I see a familiar set of green eyes peering down at me with an amused twinkle in them. He just as good as admitted he has my parcel, but he didn't exactly say so, and at this point, I'm not offering up any information unless I have to. I open my mouth to repeat my plea for mercy, but he quickly shakes his head. He chuckles. You've already invoked partly. I intend to honor that, but I don't think you're going to be particularly thrilled with the outcome. You see, he reaches up behind his head and begins untying the leather strips binding the mask that's obscuring his face. As they fall away one by one, a chiseled jaw begins to peek through. He tugs the remainder of the mask off over his head and tosses it to the wood planking below. My heart jumps into my throat as I look up at a man who can't be much older than myself. He's young, but rugged, and his face is peppered with hair the color of chocolate, which frames the sculpted Viking features like a damn portrait. Jackie, I said the word Viking, darling. He's handsome to a dangerous degree. I find myself staring way longer than I should, shaking my head to snap myself out of my daze as he finishes his statement. You've already met the captain of this vessel. He thrusts his hand forward and holds it there expectantly. Name's Drake. Welcome aboard my ship, lost girl. Yay! Alright, that's the end. Ooh, that was good timing. Timed that one just right. So, you better go get this book, because it'll be sounding pretty damn good right about now. And it's only gonna get better. Remember, she said filthy. So far, it's been a little bit seasoned with salt, let's say. Not spicy, but makes it taste good. So, you want some of that good seasoning on there that makes it spicy? You better get this book and get to reading. Woo-wee! She said there's 2 more books. 2 more books. So see, that's 3 books you guys need to read. All right. Thank you, Miss Lux. Thank you, Jody. Oh, sorry. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Lux, for letting me read it. I appreciate it. And we'll have to work on getting the other 2 on here. What's it, though? All righty. So, tomorrow night, we got Mr. Aaron Spear going to be on here. Whoop, whoop. That'll be fun. He's always full of laughs and giving me a hard time. So, y'all need to come back tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, same time, same place, and see what Mr. Aaron's got for us. Until then, those that are in the way of weather, please be careful out there. Be safe. Lux, stick close to your bathroom, honey. Get that mattress ready. The bottles of water ready. You're gonna need them. Our rain is supposed to end tonight, so and I'm working from home tomorrow, so I should be okay. Rest of you, Jackie, I don't even know what your weather's doing. Look. Okay, bottle of wine works too. All right. Oh, Vincy, please try not to kill Baby Hulk. He's too cute to kill. So just chain him up or something till he calms down. Put a leash on him, whatever you got to do, but don't kill the baby. He's too cute. He loves me. Ain't got too many people out there to love me anymore, so I need to keep my options open. All righty. You folks have a great evening and go get that book and read it. So happy reading.